Hello, my name is Keely. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to teach you how you can foil your own hair for highlighting. I've been doing this for a long time, and I think it takes a lot of practice, but within a few times you could certainly be doing this on your own. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and mixed up my hair dye color. See, it's here in the bottle. I always go with different brands. This time I'm using Clairol Born Blonde. I am not going to put this all over my hair. I'm not trying to go blonde, but because I have very dark hair, I really have to get some kind of hair dye that has bleach in it. And this says that it is the maximum blonding for even the darkest hair. I've not personally used this brand or this kind. I've used Clairol before, but I haven't really necessarily used this formula, so I'm just kind of wondering what they actually mean by that, because sometimes I will dye my hair with something that I think is going to lighten it, and it doesn't. For a long time, I tried to put red in my hair, and it never looked like I had anything in my hair. And I would spend a lot of time and money, just effort, putting it all in my hair, and then I would get out from doing it, and it wouldn't look any different until I got in the sun, and then it was like, oh yay, there's that red highlight or two. But I have been going with blonde highlights for a long time. They don't usually look terribly blonde on me. In fact, they might look blonde for a couple of days and then kind of go into a red look. I mean, that's basically what happens for me. Everyone is different though with their hair and with the kinds of hair dye that they have. If this is your first time dyeing, there are instructions on the box of how you can test a strand. And you would test a strand up underneath of here and just see if you have any reactions. I have had very few problems ever with dyeing my hair. I've never had reactions. And I think it's because I most of the time just highlight my hair and I don't get it all over my scalp, which is normally where the problems happen. Okay, so to foil, you need pieces of foil, and there's nothing special about the foil. I just got this kitchen foil, oops, upside down, out of my kitchen. I did couple of pieces like this. You're going to need as many highlights as you want, and I would definitely think 20 to 30 pieces is a good number depending on how long your hair is. The other key to highlighting your hair at home is you need some kind of brush. This is just an old makeup brush. And for a long time, I tried to highlight my hair, and I was just missing this component, and it was a brush, believe it or not. Because prior to me using a brush, I could never get my hair to stay on the foil long enough for me to fold the foil up and do what needed to be done. So one day I watched a tutorial, and I saw that the stylist was using a brush. It's worked perfectly for me ever since. Now, if you go to the hair salon, typically they're going to start with the top layers and go down, but I do things a little different. I start at the bottom. I start with my bottom layer. I'm sure that's not what you're supposed to do. I'm pretty sure that they start at the top with dyeing your hair at salons, but this is just what I do. So I pull out a specific amount, just some kind of thin amount of hair, and I put on top the rest of it. Just what I'm not going to highlight at the start. So if you can see this, okay, I've just got some of my hair down. So then I start with one section of hair, maybe about like this. My hair's getting pretty long, wow. Then you take a piece of foil and you sort of go up underneath your hair like this. Okay, and this is the tricky part about it. You need to make sure that it's going to hold it. Okay, so I put the hair dye straight in here. Just start putting some on. And I know that not all my hair is up there yet, but I got to start somewhere. So I put in a little bit of the dye. I put parts of my hair up into the foil, like this. It's harder when you have longer hair. And then I add some more of the dye. And then I take my awesome brush and I sort of brush the pieces of hair This helps it to stick to the foil along with spreading out my hair dye evenly. I think one of the reasons the hairstylists use a brush is that they will put the dye in a bowl and then they will use the brush and just paint it on the hair. But I have the bottle, so that's just what I use. And because it's all blue, it makes it a little easier for me to see what I'm doing. So thank goodness for this blue hair dye. This is actually why they make it those crazy colors, so that you can see it in your hair. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but I have tried as best as I can to get all of my hair on here. Okay. Once I get all the hair like it needs to be, I fold it up in half like this. And then I fold one section over and then another. And there it is. It's not nearly as pretty as what they do at a salon. I know that. They are much, much better at that than I am. Now, my first layer, I usually do about 3 sections for highlights because I don't want it to be too thick. See what I'm doing? Alright. And I'm just feeling back here, feeling what I'm doing as best as I can with gloves on. It's really important that you wear the gloves. It may seem like a big pain in your rear end, but you need to wear them because otherwise you're going to end up with dyed fingers. Alright. Once I feel like I have enough, I just use this thing. I'm kind of blindly doing it, I know. However, the good thing is that these highlights aren't seen as much. The ones underneath. And then I fold it up in half like I did before. And fold it over toward the middle and the other section over toward the middle. And number 2. Then I do one more section, sort of toward this side. And I try to get it up as close as I can to the hair. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing a little better on this time. I can't even really see what I'm doing, so I just have to feel it. And eventually you'll learn to feel it as well. Sometimes, if I'm having a hard time keeping the hair in place, before I pull it all up, I would just go ahead and add that brush and sort of brush it down. And then I'll add a little bit more. So, shoving all my hair up in there, add some more dye, okay, and then I'm going to brush. Just make sure that it gets all over, especially the roots. One of the biggest problems that I have with dyeing my hair at home, I think most people have this problem even at salons, is make sure that you get, as close as you can. Even if that means you can't get the hair, if you have to put a little bit of dye on hair that isn't in the foil, do so. There's only so close that you can get a piece of foil to your head. Alright. So, that's my first layer. I hope you can see all of this. Okay, so then I'm going to take another section. All my hair is up on top of my head like this. I'm going to pull down a little bit more. Okay, that's the next section. And the second layer, I usually do at least 4, maybe 5 different ones. Maybe. At least 4, yeah. It's been a while since I did this, actually. And the last time I dyed my hair, I went ahead and dyed it back to my natural color as much as I could. You can't really buy your natural color in a box, of course. But I had put a whole lot of different dyes in my hair, different colors and stuff. So I really needed to sort of start over This is the first time I have put any highlights in it since I did that back in the summer. Okay, if you can see right now, I put a little extra up there. I'm just trying to get to that strand, and that isn't getting in my foil. It's really important that you try to get as close as you can. Now this would be a really long video if I took you through each and every layer of my hair, considering it's so long. But so far I hope that you've kind of gotten the gist of what it takes to highlight your own hair. Some tips for once you get to the top. You need to make sure that when you do this top layer that you really part your hair like from one side to the other. Even if you have like a sort of do your hair over, just make sure you have a straight part. And you're going to want to do about 6 highlights at least. If you have bangs like I do, you can either leave the bangs alone or you can add some to it. But then you need to do mirroring highlights, 1 on each side, about this much each. And then a second set, and then a back set. Okay, and then you would put that all in foil, and it's pretty important that you do that for your top. And be sure at the top specifically that you get all the way to the root. After you get your foil set, you might want to go with your tip and actually go onto the root and really put some dye up there. So good luck. If you have any questions for me, please leave me some messages in the comment and I'll be glad to get back with you.